Jonathan Taylor is being robbed of the NFL MVP award. We might be only halfway through the NFL season, but Jonathan Taylor has been the best player in football this year. In this edition of Sunday Morning Slants, we go over our midseason MVP picks. And do we think Jonathan Taylor has a realistic shot? Comment down below if you think Taylor will win MVP or if it'll fall to a quarterback once again. But
No.
Mason, I'll start with you, though. Most valuable player halfway through the NFL season. If the season ended today, who do you think's MVP?
I'm gonna go with Matt Stafford. I think it's gonna come down to it's just gonna be a quarterback award. I'm sorry for all the Jonathan Taylor lovers out there, but I mean Saquon said, and I know it's a regular season award, but he broke the record for most rushing yards like in a season, including the playoffs. I just don't see it happening for Jonathan Taylor unless like some of these quarterbacks just start dropping off. I think there's a couple in the race. I think you consider Drake May, Sam Darnold, definitely. I mean, it's just going to come down to a quarterback who's on a team with one of the best records in the NFL. But I think in terms of numbers and kind of checking all those boxes, I think Matt Stafford's kind of the cream of the crop right now. Sam Darnold, I think at this point, his team's almost like too good, where last week he didn't really have to do anything. He threw the ball 12 times and had an interception in one of those. So I think his numbers probably aren't going to match up as well. And then Drake May, I think it comes down to the strength of who you're playing. And I think the Rams have a couple better wins and have the opportunity to stack more of these better wins. I mean, on the schedule here, which is something I kind of consider with Jalen Hurts and kind of the stretch that they have against the NFC opponents, which obviously not a great start with the Packers. You got the win, but not a good performance. But kind of thinking similarly with the Rams, you have the Seahawks twice, the Buccaneers, the Lions. So, I mean, these are games that he has the opportunity to be highlighted and shown and face up against these other teams. So I'm gonna run with the odds. If the Rams are playing good right now, I think they'll end up winning most of those games. And I think with the stats to go along with that, Matt Stafford's like a pretty good pick right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really doubt it, right? I mean, he's dicing up everybody he plays. But I think he's been pretty. I mean, it's a safe pick, right? I think he's tied for the betting favorite right now with Drake May. So he has, without a doubt, been great.
It's an interesting MVP year because it doesn't really seem like there's a kind of guy that's grabbed it and like ran away with it, or that like it's not like an intense storyline. Because even last year, even though Saquon didn't win it, like at a certain point, it was like he was very much in the narrative, and it was like, oh, is he going to win? Like, are we going to have a running back for the first time in 11 years or whatever it is? Like, it doesn't really seem like, I mean, it's still early-ish in the season, but it doesn't really feel like we're having too much MVP conversation. But I don't really feel like there's a definitive answer here. It seems like there's a pool of maybe like 6 guys that you can kind of pick from that are kind of at the top of their game right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, looking at Drake May, really my issue is like they only have 2 like statement wins, I would say, and the only 2 primetime games that you have left, which I think plays into the MVP a little bit. Like, you know, on a big stage, you want to show out. I mean, they have the Jets and the Giants at home. Those are their only 2 primetime games, a Thursday night, and it looks like I don't know what's December 1st, a Sunday night or a Monday night. Like to me, those just aren't really games that like. It's not like you're matching up against another juggernaut, and that could be like a statement for their resume for MVP. And I think it just comes down to like, unless the Patriots win 14 games and some of the other teams like the Seahawks and the Rams with the Sam Darnold or Matt Stafford fall off and only end up winning like 12 games, I just don't really see him getting the votes that you would expect, I guess.
Yeah, which is fair. And so for my pick, I am going to go with Sam Darnold. And my difference between Darnold and Stafford is that I think Darnold's doing more with less. I do think that both teams have a really solid overall unit from top to bottom. But I think when you look at Stafford's weapons, when he has Puka Nacua and he has Devontae Adams and he has Kyron Williams versus, you know, I know the Seahawks have JSN, and, you know, JSN is a guy who might win Offensive Player of the Year. They have the shell of Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's really just not the same. He's at the twilight of his career at this point. And they have some other nice pieces, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, but they're not as elite and established as a Nacua, as a Devontae Adams, as Kyron Williams. So I think that benefits Stafford. I also think part of it too, this might be a little bit of an ageist take, but Stafford's been around the block so many times that this is none of this is new to him, right? Like he should be able to pick apart these defenses. And I think with Darnold, despite him being in the league for a while, this is like his first real run as a starting quarterback in consecutive seasons with a legit team, excluding his time with the Jets. So I think Darnold's just doing a little bit more. Well, he's doing about the same with a little bit less in terms of talent. And I think that does have to factor in. I think that if for whatever reason, if JSN went down, I think that Darnold would still be able to deliver. I just think he would have to go that much, above and beyond to compete with what the Rams are doing with Stafford. So that's why I would lean Darnold. But again, like I said, I think Stafford is also a great pick.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing with Stafford, I have a hard time. Like, I agree with you. I 100% agree that I would lean Darnold over Stafford. The thing with Stafford, I just have I don't know. Maybe it's like a conception of Stafford. I just am having a hard time actually seeing him being like a front runner in the MVP race. For whatever reason it is, I don't know if it's, like I said, he's just been around for forever. So it just doesn't really feel like this is anything necessarily new from him. But I don't know. I just don't think he's a great quarterback. I just don't see him as I think you made the right pick leaning towards Darnold there.
So who would you go with for your MVP?
I went just because I think that this is probably the guy that deserves it the most, but we know he's not going to get it. I picked Jonathan Taylor for MVP. It's, obligatory. There's always got to be someone that has to pick a running back or a wide receiver, even though that's not going to happen. So it was me, but I think out of all the dudes in the NFL, I mean, he has to be the one that's playing the best right now. If you I don't know, if you go on a pure position by position basis, and I mean, he did a show this weekend. I mean, that's probably the best that any NFL player has ever played internationally, right? Like, I can't think of any.
One of the greatest. It's one of the greatest games, let alone international games. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you have to this week. I think is they're 8-2. They all the season is not hanging in the balance, but they have a bad loss against Pittsburgh last week, and then they're struggling against the Falcons. If they lose, all the rumblings are going to start coming up of, is this Colts team actually any good? Are they worse than everyone thought? Blah, blah, blah. And he just decided we're not going to have this narrative this week. He just decided to just put the whole team on his back, and he ran, what was it? 200, is it like almost 270 all-purpose yards? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was around, I think it was like 250 plus.
Yeah, I think it was 240 rushing yards, and he had a couple receptions for 200 and I don't know, 200 and I think it was in the 70s, but I should look this up. But I think that he's the person in the NFL that's playing the best right now. I don't think that there's anyone quarterback, running back. I really think that he is the definition of most valuable player right now and not just most valuable quarterback.